Hey, it's DBJ, and we are going to talk about horror games. The most popular, I believe, would be Call of Cthulhu, but how to add horror into your games and what do you need? In my opinion, it's very difficult to do horror games. I'm going to give you five of mine. The first and the most important is is you have to have a buy-in. You have to sell it. And the players and the game master have to know, and this is kind of a metagaming part, they have to know that they're going to be in a horror game. If the players are not going to be involved in it, if they do not, if you've got someone like myself, I can be pretty sarcastic and I like to laugh and joke a little bit. But if I play in a horror game, I'll put that aside to maintain the feel and the theme and the feeling of and the tension. And if the players are not willing to do that, to buy into the horror theme, then it's not going to work. So that's what you need. That's the first part. The second part is what I call expectation of failure. And that is the difference between a horror game and, say, more heroic games, Dungeons and Dragons, superhero games, maybe some spy games, is the expectation of failure. In horror games, your players will fail. There will be failures in perception checks. They will fail to notice creatures. They will fail to understand. Okay, Kitty, really? Is that necessary? Really? There's going to be a failure at some point, and a larger percentage of failure in horror than any other genres, in my opinion. You're going to fail strength checks. You're going to fail sanity checks. You're going to fail, perception checks and things of that nature. Long story short, people will die. And in horror games, although you do not need to kill off your players, the expectation of failure means that some people might not enjoy that if they're used to playing in a more heroic, hey, I am the expert type of game. Third thing is pacing. You can do like a slow burn or a flash fire kind of pacing. Slow burn are the games where slowly information is being presented to the characters and the players, knowing that there's this horrible thing on the horizon, and eventually they will meet their doom when they meet it, but it takes a while for it to get there. And all evidence points to this greater evil, whether it's a vampire or a lich or a werewolf or Cthulhu itself. A flash fire horror game is one where there's a pacing where the pacing is so quick that over and over and over, the players are being put into a situation where they are presented where there's a good chance of failure. A great movie that would be horror would be the movie Aliens, that has a flash fire, meaning that in the beginning of the movie they build up to what's terrible. They know there's something terrible down there, and then and one by one they're forced into a room. They have to run. There's something crawling up down the hallway. Oh no! Now it's above us. Now it's below us. Now we have to get to the nuclear reactor. Now we have to go get the resources. Oh, let's go get the ship. And at each turn, as the failure happens, they're forced to make another decision. Number 4 would be isolation. All horror games, movies, books have the people isolated. The players cannot have a safety valve. They can't have a running vehicle. They can't have the ability to teleport. They can't have the ability to fly. They have to be isolated in some kind of way. In most zombie movies, or TV shows like The Walking Dead, despite the fact that they are surviving, they are always isolated from the rest of the world. There's no communication. They have to find themselves vehicles. They have resources. That's the last thing I'm going to say. Number 5 are limited resources. All horror means that the characters have limited resources, whether it's ammo, whether it's spells, the ability to heal, resources from personnel, henchmen, energy cells, anything like that, air, food, radiation leak, anything that ups the stakes that eventually their resources will run out. Whether it means that the air is going to run out in the space station, whether it means the nuclear reactor will explode and send radiation everywhere and they're surely to die, whether they're on Mercury and the sun is going to rise and they're all going to burn up. That adds a little time, effort to it, resources. So again, if I can summarize, basically everyone has to be able to sell it. Everybody has to be on the same page as far as the theme goes. There's an expectation of failure. You got to set the pace. Got to isolate the players, and you got to limit their resources. If everybody's willing to go for that, you can have a great horror game. Great horror game. But I believe you need those 5 things to do it. So anyway, thanks for your attention, guys, and I hope you enjoy it. DBJ, I am out. As always, create, don't destroy.